some details. And I use a lot of text there, and with my wrong spelling, wrong grammar, and wrong, yeah. And this is like little one, just, part of the sound script. These are all 1 minute, 40 second sound scripts. And, I just wanted to say, this little 4 or 5 lines shows the whole kind of anxiety, trauma, crisis, maybe, in a childhood, as a child, but and then that they are sharing. When somebody is saying, I love you, I love my mom, the other guys, expected to say, I love my mom too, but whereas he's saying, I love your mom too, I love all moms, that, or some kind of, I don't know, yeah. So this was a project in Vienna I did in 2009, where I first tried to do the sound piece. Since I was again invited to do a body of work with drawings, the gallery was really kind of fantastic with me, and so I was that time I was very much worried about the copying things, and I used to go to the museum where Egon Schiele, one of my most favorite artists. So I used to copy his works, especially the hand, and then I made my own composition with 17 small drawings in the one gallery. There are 2 parts of the gallery. So in the other gallery, I just tried to make a sound piece where I'm confessing that I'm repeating and copying myself again and again, and I can't just come out from this kind of this is circle. And so this is one of the projects in Japan where I work with this that manga thing. You must be knowing that the kind of soft porno culture. They they're addicted to. So they are basically they're small books, and they like to read it and everybody likes to deny those factors that they are addicted to. So in the museum I made them really quite large. You can see the scales, and they're highly sexual and erotic. So. And then I kind of engage the viewer to, This is my Huffle series, where I try to play with the identity of self, and I use self as identity as an object. Because my my project, this guy was really sincere to, This was done in Brazil, where I was working with a bunch of girls, and they don't know English, and me neither, and nor the Portuguese. So I was needed to make. I was working about silencing the voice and women. So I made one video, and therefore I was needed to do a very painful expression of my face, and I had to find something. So I tattooed myself. And then I this is one of my recent project. I did it with Arshia, curated this show. This is called Mo. Mo is my sister's name, but it's Museum of Unbelongings, where I brought all my collection, not all, a lot of my collection since I am 4, to the gallery space. So each one has name, each one has a history, and I can tell everything about them. And each part I compose, each part I make a story every time. At home also I do the same thing. At studio or at home I constantly play with them and talk to them. So you can see a burqa woman with a So this is the kind of fun I do. And then the main thing was, the main issue was addressing the lack of museums, because at the end I offered, the pricing of the work was somebody I wanted to adopt my children and to host them, to their house. So there's no kind of price, but to give them a. This is one recent work that at Khoj I was doing. It was about idea of fashion, where I was invited with some other artist, photographer, and designer. So instead of making some costumes, which I really fond of, doing it, I actually started peeling off the wall of this room. That room has its own history of 13 years. Every year they host 6 to 8 artists, and everybody wants to paint the room. So what I did is I started peeling off those kind of robes, and that project was called For Play, or for in bracket E play. So instead of wrapping them and robing them, I was kind of disrobing them. It's So I wanted to explore the core, like of fashion, the idea of fashion. So this is some of my hair pieces. I love doing this. This is called, somebody was doing a show with the large format works, and he asked me to do the large works like my Japan works. So I gave 40 feet long hair glued in the roll because it's a lifetime. This is called lifelong, and this is another piece called sweet hair. Yeah, this is the last thing. This is a Fame2 project. It was one of my online projects in 2007. Early I launched because that time that market was like really, and I emotionally felt very disturbed and because I couldn't make the balance in the market. And I think I like to play. I mean, I respect very much the gallery system, and I myself, work with the gallery, and at the same time to just balance myself and my own, kind of emotions. I like to play with the market and always try to change the currency. So this time I offered my, people, or it was online, so it was more like a public domain, the people to send me a letter with love, and in return I started giving them an original work of me, as a gift. So that was it. Well, I've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithun. That was a fascinating presentation from, yes, from the start to the Museum of Unbelonging to peeling paint on the walls to create works of art. I think we will go on to our next artist, Zakir, if that's okay, and come back for questions.
Maybe one or two questions from the audience.
Should we?
I'm sorry I took too much of time.
No, it's okay. No, if there are questions, yes, let's do the questions.
Mithu? Hey. Right in the beginning you said that, because of some reservation that you felt about, because of the language, you wanted to kind of go to the work, and through work you wanted to, go straight to the heart, right? But let me tell you, you speak very beautifully. And yeah, absolutely, it's one of the best presentations I've seen, so congratulations. And there is some kind of vulnerability and things which I think it's so honest, and it just reflects everywhere, and very powerful works and very successful in every way. So I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you.
No, Mithu is also a published author of poems in Bengali, so she is very articulate.
Yeah, here's one. Mithu, first of all, you're a great communicator. And just gone to prove that language is only a small part of communication. I have a small question. When you say that your work comes with a whole lot of paraphernalia, from the buyer's point of view, how does it work? Does it make the product incomplete without the others?
No, I think when it is like, suppose you were taking one work, of me, one
Right.
drawings, and I have full confidence of you that wherever you are going to put it, I don't like if you put it on your storage there.
Right.
Besides that, well, even if this is part of the realism, like I like it. So when you are putting it on your drawing or somewhere, next to your husband's photograph or something, it becomes it takes its own composition. So it shows your kind of emotions, where you exactly place them for. So I think it's like that.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. Thanks.
So did you get a lot of letters written with love?
Oh yes, of course. Not only letters, like I'm still getting, and it's sometimes like exhausting me because it was a nice kind of meditating moment. Because every moment I start working, every morning I start working in my studio, at least one work I think, it's not going. I mean, I'm coming from West Bengal, so maybe the communist kind of mentality or something. My father's salary, everything, like affects me so much. I think, okay, I'm doing some charity in the morning. I'm like making one work, thinking of my friend or somebody that it's not going through market system where so I can make, and I don't have any assistance on anybody. So everything, even to clean my studio, I do myself because I have a big ego of like if somebody comes and touches my work, so I do not. So I have a physical limitation that how many works I will do, and I have an excessive energy, so I I work like 20 hours a day, so everything I have to